Chapter 5. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Inshallah, we will continue to finish Chapter 5, Production in Islam. Um, so let's review the philosophy of production, the philosophy of production in Islamic economics. The philosophy of production in Islamic economics is based on the philosophy of the creation of the universe. We are created by Allah as the servants of Allah. So our the purpose of the purpose of the creation of human beings is to serve Allah, liya'budun, to serve Allah. So all resources created by Allah must be processed by producers and transformed all the resources or the inputs into outputs, and we call the outputs as final goods and services. So the resources are transformed into the outputs or final goods and services and then sold to consumers for consumption. So there is an exchange of goods and services in the market where the producers and sellers sell the final goods and services and the consumers purchase or demand the goods and services based on the agreed price. All right. Purposes of resources. All resources are created by Allah and could be used as inputs to be processed to become output or final goods and services for consumption of human beings. Allah is the creator of the universe. Allah is the creator of all the resources available on earth. So Allah is the absolute authority to decide the purpose of all His creations. Allah mentions in the Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم هو الذي خلق لكم ما في الأرض جميعا. It is it is He who created all that is on earth for you. Surah Al-Baqarah, verse number 29. So this verse implies that human beings have um, the right to use the resources created by Allah or the resources on earth for their consumption, but the producers must choose the resources which are permissible or halal and beneficial or tayyib, halalan tayyiba. The resources must be permissible and beneficial to the betterment of the human beings. So producers are vicegerent or Khalifa of Allah. The majority of the resources created by Allah require human beings to transform the resources to become final goods and services suitable for consumption. The production process requires the efforts of human beings. There must be entrepreneurs to combine all the resources and transform them into the final goods and services. Allah has created human beings with various socio-economic status. There are people who are rich, there are people who are poor, there are people on the top of the production process, in the middle of the production process, and at the bottom of the production process. So the diversity of people requires them to complement each other in the process or in the production of various goods and services, and also in the other economic activities such as buying and selling goods and services in the market. The production process involves several stages, from identification of the resources suitable to be used in the production process, and also extraction of resources from the earth to various manufacturing and assembling functions in the production process. So throughout the production process, manpower is required. Some of them become entrepreneurs, some of them become laborers at various stages of production to continue efforts made by other laborers in the stages of production until the production process are able to produce the final goods and services and sold for consumption or sold for consumption to consumers. Resources are entrusted by Allah to human beings as amanah. Amanah or trust means the responsibility to obey the command of Allah. It means human beings have the freedom of choice and human beings have the responsibility, taklif, to use the trust or amana. So all the resources are amana and trusted by Allah to human beings. So Allah created all the resources. Uh, so there is a responsibility for producers to use the available resources and to use it according to the command of Allah. So there is a responsibility where good deeds will be rewarded and bad deeds will be punished. Buat baik dapat pahala, buat jahat akan dapat dosa dan akan punish di akhirat. Trust involves performing all obligations commanded by Allah, do what Allah says, and avoid all prohibitions by Allah. Al-amru bil ma'ruf wa nahyu anil munkar. Uh, so there is a responsibility to do ma'ruf and also to avoid munkar. So producers must do what is permitted by Allah. So all the resources must be halal, permissible, and must be tayyib or beneficial. And avoid all the prohibitions by Allah, such as riba, maisir, cheating, and other prohibitions by Allah. So the concept of amanah covers all aspects of human life, from religious worship to economic activities on earth, including production. So all even economic activities, if done properly with correct intention, is a part of ibadah. Allah is the absolute owner of all resources. Allah creates all the resources, and mankind has been given the trust or amanah to manage the resources as Khalifa of Allah. The resources should be managed according to the ways determined by Allah. Allah gave the human beings Quran and also Sunnah by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, uh, as Muslims, producers must follow all the guidelines um, given by Allah. So, Al-Quran, As-Sunnah, Al-Ijma', Al-Qiyas are four main sources of reference in Islamic economics. So the resources should be managed according to the ways determined by Allah. Um, and like I said, there are four main sources in Islamic economics that producers must refer to. Number one, Al-Quran. Number two, As-Sunnah. Number three, Al-Ijma'. Number four, Al-Qiyas. And other sources also. In Islamic economics, producers must make sure that the resources utilized to produce goods and services uh, in ways that are permissible in Islam must be halal. Amana is the basis for the economic transactions in the market. Exchange of resources in the market would not take place if the parties, the sellers and the buyers, if the parties involved in the transaction, uh, such as the buyers and the sellers, do not trust each other. So if the buyers do not trust the sellers and the sellers do not trust the buyers, then there is no transaction. There is no mu'amala in the market. There is no buying and selling in the market. And in the mu'amala, in the transaction, the both parties involved must follow the guidelines. Yeah? And Allah gives a strict warning to traders who cheat in the market. Objectives of production, prosperity of the earth. Mankind has been endowed with the ability to fully utilize the resources bestowed upon them on the earth for consumption. So human beings must be responsible for utilizing the resources and process the resources um, to become the final goods and services for suitable and permissible for consumption. To benefit from the resources, human beings need to fully utilize the resources and process the resources to transform them into final goods and services. So human beings are given the task to produce goods and services from the resources provided by Allah. So that's a job or the responsibility of the producers. So this responsibility must be carried out by the producers who have been entrusted with the responsibility as Khalifa appointed by Allah. And the task of developing the earth should be guided by the Sharia. Producers must make sure the whole production elements and processes are within the permissibility of Sharia and fulfill the maqasid Sharia. In the process of production, producers must follow the guidance of Sharia. Producers have the role to enjoin what is right and forbid what is wrong. Al-amru bil ma'ruf wa nahyu anil munkar. By producing goods and services that are halalan tayyiba, that are permissible and beneficial. Besides, in addition, by producing goods and services which are halal and tayyib, the producers will be the producers will be rewarded by Allah in the form of barakah in this world, and also will be rewarded paradise in the hereafter. Any questions so far? Zarifa, any question? Liana, any question?
No, sir.
Miss Natasha, what's your question?
I have no questions, sir.
Why you have no question? Miss Araya Masayo, Sawadika, you have any question?
Tada say.
Tak ada. Akila, what is your question? The theory of production. The theory of production, also known as the theory of producer behavior. Producer behavior refers to the analysis of how the producers transform various inputs such as labor and capital in order to produce outputs, the final goods and services efficiently. The production theory studies how inputs can be transformed into output as shown by the production function. The production function applies to both conventional as well as Islamic economics because the production function shows the quantity of output produced as a function of the quantity of inputs used in the production process. So in the production process, there are output and there are inputs. And so in the theory of production, there are three key areas: factors of production, production function, and production cost. Let's start with factors of production. There is a disagreement among Muslim economists regarding the factors of production, the factors or the inputs regarding the factors of production, or sometimes it is called inputs. Some Muslim economists classify the factors of production into three: al-mal, al-a'mal, and natural resources. Al-mal means the capital, including the machinery, equipment, and also money used as capital. Al-a'mal, labor, and also entrepreneurship. And number three, natural resources. Other Muslim economists classify factors of production into only two categories: al-mal, capital, and then al-a'mal, labor and entrepreneurship. However, from the Sharia point of view, any classification of factors of production is acceptable. For the purpose of discussion, the economic resources are grouped into four different categories: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. We start with land. Land refers to resources available on the earth or beneath the earth. Okay, land refers to resources available on the earth or beneath the earth, including forests, mineral deposits, as well as anything available, as well as anything that are available in rivers, lakes, and oceans. Fish, sotong, kerang, anything uh, that's live in the lake, rivers, oceans. Okay, so those are part of the land. So Allah creates these resources, uh, trees, okay, trees, forests, fish, sotong, kerang, uh, ketan, minerals, uh, mineral water, gold, silver, uh, beneath the earth for the consumption of human beings. So Allah creates these resources to be utilized by humankind for consumption. There are two types of resources: renewable and non-renewable resources. Most of the resources are used as most of the resources are used as inputs to be processed to produce outputs or final goods and services. For example, we have rice. Okay, we can transform rice to become beras, and then beras we transform to become laksa. So laksa is the final goods and services. Okay, another example, we have cotton. Okay, we transform into textile, and from textile we transform into shirt, clothing that we can wear. So we have the ability to utilize all the resources available and all the resources, whether renewable or non-renewable, and most of the resources are used as inputs to be produced to become output. Land and other resources receive income in the form of rent. Okay, this is what we learn in conventional economics, right? So the reward or the compensation for land is rent. Liana, Bising sikit rumah saya sedang direnovate.
It's okay, sir.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Okay, so the second inputs or factors of production is labor. Labor refers to the contribution by humankind, whether in the form of physical or mental contribution. Some people, they work, they contribute the physical contribution. They use lots of the physical. Some people, they contribute in the form of mental thinking. Okay, so for example, lecturer use a lots of mental in the in while working. Okay, fortunately, not many lecturers have mental problem. Okay, although they use lots of mental contribution. Mental means the thinking. We need to some labor they need to think a lot, so they contribute mental contribution. Some people they don't have to think too much, but they use lots of physical movement. Okay, like these people who are renovating my house. So there is lots of physical contribution. Okay, so they turn resources, cement, pasir, apa lagi, air. They mix and they make house. So house or rooms is the final goods and is the final goods or the output. So house is the output. Home is the output. And labor is part of the input to produce the output. And number three is capital. The third input is capital. Capital includes intermediary goods. Okay. Capital includes intermediary goods that are used in the production process, including factories, machinery, and equipment. So these are called capital. Capital refers to physical capital that can be combined with other inputs to produce output or final goods and services. However, the term capital in finance refers to financial or monetary capital, modal kewangan, that cannot be used directly in production process unless it is transformed into physical capital that is used in the process of production. Kalau ada duit, okay, duit tu bukan boleh guna terus, dia kena beli dulu barang kan. Nak masak laksa, okay, kena ada duit sebagai modal. Tapi duit tu bukan boleh buat laksa. Duit tu kena beli beras, kena beli tepung, kena beli garam. Okey, tepung, garam, lepas tu bancuh, lepas tu buat apa lagi masak, jadilah laksa. So duit tu kena digunakan untuk membeli barang-barang or inputs to be used in the production of resources. In conventional economics, capital receives payment in the form of interest. Okay, so in Islamic economics, interest or riba is haram, right? So, however, in Islamic economic, interest or riba is impermissible or haram. However, in Islamic economics, interest or riba is haram or impermissible. Allah says in the Quran, "A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim wa ahallallahu al-bai'a wa harrama riba." Means and Allah permits uh, sales and prohibits riba. So riba is prohibited in Islam. So we'll talk more about this topic in about this issue in later topics. Okay, number four, the fourth input number four, entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurships are the persons who combine all the resources. They combine land, labor, and capital to produce output in the form of final goods and services. Contohnya makcik tu nak buat laksa kan. So nak buat laksa dia kena ada pekerja dia, dia kena ada modal, dia kena ada tanah juga. Uh, so dia kena pergi beli ikan, kena beli ikan kembung. Beli ikan kembung. Ikan kembung tu sebahagian daripada land. Sebahagian daripada land. Ikan kembung tu orang pergi tangkap di laut. So dia pun belilah ikan temenung atau ikan kembung. Lepas tu dia buat kuah laksa. Lepas tu dia ada pekerja dia nak tolong bersiang ikan, nak tolong rebus ikan. Lepas tu ada capital, ada peralatan lah. Dia kena ada periuk, kena ada dapur, kena ada. So makcik nak buat laksa tu entrepreneurs, okay. So entrepreneurs they combine land, labor and capital to produce output. Contohnya laksa. Okay, output tu dipanggil final goods and services. Contohnya laksa. So entrepreneurs take the risk because in the process of production you can they can either earn a profit or take a loss. So all entrepreneurs they have to bear the risk. Yeah, because when they do business, when they produce things, when they produce goods and services, when they sell goods and services, okay, sometimes they make a profit, sometimes they have to take loss. Berniaga bukan selalu untung, ada masa untung, ada masa rugi. So they have to take the risk. Habis. Next subtopic is production function. Okay. Okay. The production function is the quantity. The production function shows the quantity of output produced, Q, as a function of the quantity of inputs used in the production process. So in this equation, Q is the quantity of output, K is the quantity of capital, and L is the quantity of labor. So there are two inputs, capital and labor, in this simple production function. So the higher the quantity of inputs, the higher the capital, the higher the labor used as inputs, um, the higher will be the quantity of outputs. So if producers increase capital or increase labor, the quantity of outputs produced will be increased also, and vice versa. if the producers decrease the quantity of capital and or decrease the quantity of labor, the quantity of output will decrease also. So Q here refers to quantity of output, K the quantity of capital, and L is the quantity of labor. And in the conventional economics, it is assumed that capital is fixed. The quantity of capital is fixed, means it does not change. And the quantity of labor is variable, means the producers can increase or decrease the quantity of labor. So capital is assumed to be fixed, labor is assumed changing, to be changing or to be variable. So in this simple production function, the quantity of output produced is determined by the quantity of capital and the quantity of labor used in the production process. K is assumed to be is assumed to be variable input, and L is assumed to be variable. Sorry, to be fixed. K is assumed to be a fixed input. Okay, K doesn't change. Okay, K is assumed to be a fixed input, means the quantity of capital does not change, and L is assumed to be a variable input, means L is assumed to increase or decrease. In Islamic economics, producers must make sure that the inputs used in the production process are permissible or halal and beneficial. Tayyib. So the inputs used in the production must be halalan tayyiba. Must be halalan tayyiba. The inputs must be acquired via legal means. So the inputs cannot be stolen, cannot be stolen. The inputs must be acquired via legal means. Okay. So to get, in order for the producers to obtain the inputs, they must um, use legal means such as buying, okay, or renting or other methods. Curi tak boleh, curi tak boleh. Kalau nak guna mesti beli atau mesti sewa kan, atau kaedah-kaedah yang lain. Tak boleh curi ya. Nak buat laksa, pergi curi tepung, tak boleh ya. Okay. Nak buat laksa kena pergi beli tepung. Betul tak? Lepas tu nak buka kedai. Nak buka kedai, mesti beli kedai ataupun sewa kedai kan. Okay. Sorry about the noise. The inputs must be acquired via legal means. The compensation to the owners of the input must be done through mutual consent and must fulfill the requirements of the akad or contract. Producers must produce efficiently because Islam encourages efficiency. Efficiency means being able to produce output at the lowest average cost. Okay, this the efficiency means the production of goods and services is at the lowest average cost. Okay. We learned this in the microeconomics, right? Cost of production. The cost of production includes all expenditures on all inputs, including fixed and variable inputs. So TC equals TFC plus TVC. Okay. So TC is total cost equals TFC total fixed cost and plus TVC total variable cost. So there are two types of cost. One is fixed cost and the other one is variable cost. Fixed cost is the cost that does not change. Okay, fixed cost means the cost that does not change. And variable cost is the cost that increase when the outputs are produced. Behavior of producers in Islamic economics. In Islamic economics, producers act rationally. And the rationality is based on the objective to achieve falah, not necessarily to maximize profit. So in Islam, the objective is to achieve falah, that is the success in this world and also success in the hereafter, not necessarily to maximize profit. So in Islam, profit maximization is not the only objective of producers in Islamic economics. Rather, the objective of producers in Islamic economics is to achieve falah or the success in this world and also the success in the hereafter. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.